Have you ever noticed how sometimes totally different ways of thinking from completely different parts of the world somehow land on the exact same idea? Well, today we're looking at one of those wild moments in time, the year 2026. Because from ancient Chinese metaphysics to modern Western history, a bunch of different sources are all pointing to this one year as a big one, a year of really intense change. So let's dive into the metaphysics, the history, and the patterns that are all pointing to the Crimson Horse of 2026. So, in Chinese metaphysics, 2026 isn't just, another year on the calendar. It's known as the year of the Yang Fire Horse. But some people have an even cooler name for it, the Crimson Horse. It's actually the first part of a two-year phrase, the Crimson Horse and the Blood Goat, with 2027 being the Fire Goat. But for now, let's just focus on that Crimson Horse. So what makes it so fiery? Well, it really comes down to its two main ingredients. You've got the heavenly stem, which for 2026 is young fire, and then you have the earthly branch, which is the horse. And guess what? The horse's element is also fire. So you've literally got fire on top of fire. It's this incredibly concentrated, pure, fiery energy, and that's really the main theme we're going to be exploring. To really get this, we need to actually look at the metaphysical chart for the year itself. So let's unpack the idea behind this year of two fires. Okay, so here are the two building blocks of the year's energy. That top character, Bing, that's Yang fire. You can think of it like the sun. It's big, it's powerful, it's out there for everyone to see. And below it, that's Wu, the horse, whose own natural element is also Yang fire. When you put them together, you get the super intense signature of 2026. This chart, a Bazi chart, really shows it perfectly. Bazi translates to 8 characters of destiny. Think of it like a personal destiny chart. But this one isn't for a person, it's for the entire year of 2026. And if you just look over at that column on the far right, the year pillar, you can see it. That Bing character is sitting right on top of the Wu character. Fire over fire. Boom, it's right there in the foundation of the year. Okay, so that's the theory, right? It sounds intense, but does it actually play out in the real world? Let's jump from the metaphysics into the history books and see if past Firehorse years had that same kind of fiery, disruptive vibe. So this whole system runs on a 60-year cycle. That means to find the last 2 times we had a Yang Firehorse, we just have to count back in 60-year jumps from 2026. First up, 1966, a year of absolutely massive social change. And before that, 1906, which was a year full of both natural disasters and man-made conflict. These old calendars kind of help set the scene, don't they? On one side, you've got the turn of the 20th century, and on the other, you're right in the thick of the 60s. 2 completely different worlds, but both were about to go through the intense energy of a Firehorse year. And just look at what happened. In 1906, you had the massive San Francisco earthquake. A literal shaking of the earth. You also had the launch of a new battleship, the HMS Dreadnought, which basically kicked off a huge naval arms race. And there was major civil unrest in China. Then, fast forward to 1966, the Cultural Revolution starts in China. The Black Panther Party rises in the US, and anti-war protests exploded. These aren't just small events. They're huge, disruptive, world-changing moments. That's that fiery energy in action. Okay, now we're going to make a hard pivot. We're leaving Eastern metaphysics for a minute and jumping into a totally different Western way of looking at history. And what's so wild is that it leads us to the exact same year. Meet Sir John Glubb. He was a British general and a historian, and after studying more than a dozen empires from all over the world, he noticed this startling pattern. He found that great powers, no matter where they were or what tech they had, all seemed to go through the same predictable life cycle, from an age of pioneers, through conquest, commerce, affluence, and all the way to decline and collapse. And here's the data he used. Just look at this list. Assyria, the Roman Republic, the Arab Empire, the Ottomans, Spain, Britain. These are wildly different cultures from totally different times. But look at their lifespan. See how they all seem to cluster around one particular number? 250. Glubb basically figured out that the average lifespan for a great nation is about 250 years, or roughly 10 generations. That seems to be how long it takes for a nation to go from that initial burst of pioneering energy to a state of decline. So here's where it all clicks together. The United States was founded with the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776, which means that on July 4th, 2026, in the exact same year of the Crimson Horse, the U.S. will celebrate its 250th birthday. For 2 completely separate models to point to the same year, well, that's pretty uncanny. But hold on. There's actually a third source we need to look at. This one is way older, and it adds this sort of mythic, ancient warning to the whole thing. This is the Di Mu Jing, or the Mother Earth script. It's this ancient Chinese text, kind of like a farmer's almanac, that has a short poem or prophecy for each of the 60 years in the cycle. Farmers would traditionally use it to try and predict what the year ahead would be like. The weather, the harvest, any potential disasters. And this is the actual prophecy for the Bingwu year, our fire horse year. It talks about floods, plagues, and epidemics among livestock. It warns farmers to plant on high ground, and it ends on this really grim note. People died young. It's a pretty heavy text that definitely lines up with all the other themes of disruption we've been seeing. Okay, so we've got this intense, fiery energy. We have historical examples. We've got a 250-year cycle and an ancient prophecy all pointing to 2026. So what are we supposed to do with all this information? To figure that out, we need to zoom out and look at the bigger energetic era we've just started. So to get the bigger context, we're going to look at another part of Chinese metaphysics that splits time up into 20-year chunks called periods. And as you can see right here, in 2024, we officially left period 8 and entered period 9, which is going to last all the way until 2044. So 2026 is happening right at the start of this brand new 20-year era. And this is so important. Period 8, the one we just left, was an earth element period. The keywords were all about stability, building wealth, slow and steady progress. But period 9, the era we're in now, is a fire element period. The energy is fast-moving, it's about tech, AI, visibility, what things look like, and this big rising interest in spirituality. So that intense fire of 2026 isn't happening in a vacuum. It's like the big kickoff event for a 20-year era that's all about fire. This brings us to what is maybe the most important point of all this. It's so easy to hear all this stuff and feel kind of scared, right? But it's so important to remember that these systems, they aren't telling you your fate. They're just maps of potential energy. The chart can say whatever it wants to say, but at the end of the day, what really matters is how we decide to respond to that energy. And that's why this symbol, the Taiji, or yin and yang, is so perfect here. It's all about duality. Inside the yang, there's a little seed of yin, and inside the yin, there's a seed of yang. It means that no matter how good things seem, you've got to be aware of the challenges. But even more importantly, no matter how negative things might look, there is always a seed of hope. So even inside a forecast for a super fiery, intense year, this principle tells us to look for the opportunity, for the positive change hidden inside. So yeah, the energy of 2026 looks like it's going to be intense, fast, and probably pretty disruptive. It's all about change. But remember, fire isn't just about destruction. It's also the element of passion, of new ideas, of transformation. So the real question isn't what's going to happen in 2026. The real question is, how can we take all of this intense, fiery energy and consciously use it as fuel for growth, for innovation, and for real positive change? That's the challenge, and that's the opportunity waiting for us.